The new handling model for F124 has arrived, and I'm going to be showing you the highs and lows and what you need to change, what you don't need to change to be able to master this new physics model within the F124 game. So, what's changed? Not a lot, to be honest. They have improved some areas, but ultimately and fundamentally, a lot of the same driving exploits, the same driving characteristics are exactly the same, and you won't really need to be changing anything. So, again, I'm just going to show you my in-game settings here, because I haven't changed anything, and I think it is still the fastest way to be running like a low rotation on the wheel by having 0 on the calibration as well. But yeah, I'm still running 310 on the wheel rotation in-game, 310 in my real-life wheel as well. But yeah, to be honest, not a lot has changed. I'm going to talk you over what they have changed from a driver's perspective and cut away all the fancy writing about basically everything and just give you a very straight to the point analysis about what has changed. So previously within the game you could go full lock around the corners and get away with it. So you can see right now it's not exactly punishing me, but you can't get grip from the front axle while going full lock, as I'm going to show you in the replay camera right now. Previously you could get the car to probably go around the corner from this point of view and from this position while going full lock, whereas now there's just a hint of understeer. To be honest, I should end up in the grandstand by doing this much steering lock. I should end up at least by the AWS stand, but at least it's an improvement for this, is positive. That now you can't just completely put full lock and go around the corner. I would say the grip is a tiny bit less in general. I wouldn't say the grip is like exactly the same as it was before, but it's only marginally less grip. It's not really something significant, and that mainly comes down just to the front axle. I feel like the rear axle has exactly the same grip as it does before, or very similar grip to before, whereas the front axle has marginally less grip, and that just means that there's a slightly less amount of rotation, what probably equates to a few tenths of lap time, and nothing much more, to be honest. In my opinion, to be very honest, I'm very grateful to the team behind the scenes working, from what I understand, quite hard to get the update out, because it's quite, to be honest, in the modern game industry, it's quite impressive to get a patch out so quickly. But to be honest, we need to be going 4 seconds a lap slower. At the moment, we're going to 107s. In Montreal, we should be going to the 110s probably. In the qualifying, we're going to see this weekend in real Formula 1 how fast they're going. But you see it over like tracks like Silverstone, Monaco, that we're going 4-5 seconds a lap faster. We can still take corners completely flat out. So although there has been to be honest, a good step going in a good direction, the direction needs to be continued right now, and it needs to be followed through to have ultimately get the game into an even more enjoyable state and somewhere that we can be even happier driving the car. Because at the moment, it's basically just the same handling model with slightly less front grip and slightly less lap time as a result of that front grip being lessened and the inability to go full lock around the corner like this. So that being said, I'm still going to talk you through, let's say, the advantages that you can take from this handling model and what you can do to continue to elevate yourself. So one of the fundamental things that is really key and really important is that you cannot scrub the rear at the moment, the same as it was previously. But although you can take massive amount of speed into the corner, the rear, if you slide it on the middle to exit of the corner, you end up losing a lot of performance on the exit. Just due to the friction of the tyre. The friction rate in the game seems extremely high, and if you do slide the tyre over the surface of the road, especially on the rear compound of tyres, you end up with the inability to get back to the power. Maybe you can feel it when you're driving as well. To me, it feels like a traction control that, like, you can hear so prominently that when I'm going on the power, I'm going to shut up when I get to this apex, but you can see I'm actually holding 100% throttle on the exit of this corner, but because the friction rate of the rear axle is so high, it feels that way anyway. I'm not a game developer, I'm just a driver, but the friction is so high on the rear compound of tires that it basically acts like a traction control in some way, and yeah, basically you can hear that even though I'm doing the same full throttle input, the RPM drops from the car and becomes less prominent. So you can listen to it now. You can hear prominently just after this apex curve. So yeah, you can prominently hear as we go over go around the corner off the curb, and just as we get the snap of wheel spin here, it basically corrects itself for me. And it basically dampens the RPM and means that I don't actually have to really do anything with my foot. And yeah, it's not something I'm a big fan of, to be honest. But again, I have to reiterate, because I think it is a fair point to make. It is definitely a step in the more of the right direction. I don't want to be just putting, to be honest, nonsense complaints into the world, into my videos, into social media, just to try and make a clickbait video or make a clickbait views or to create a gang in the comments. But yeah, for me personally, it's a good step forward. It's a good step in the right direction. But ultimately there needs to be many more of these steps going in the right direction. And to get the car feeling even better, I think we need to be going multiple seconds a lap slower to bring our times more in line with what's happening in real life. I think we need to try and get rid of part of that friction on the rear compounded tires, so it's not acting like a traction control and it feels like an assist at the moment, to be honest. Like I said, I'm going to do it again. It's just impossible to spin the car. I stayed 100% full throttle and the RPMs even went lower. I've never seen this in a car, in a racing car, to be honest, that doesn't have track control or stability control assist in the game. So yeah, something to me is to fix on those areas. I think the front axle is improved. I think the inability to overslide the front axle and still get grip is improvement. And generally, I would say that the enjoyment from the game is a bit higher now. I think it's a bit more fun of a game to play. But with that being said, the highs and lows and the key point summary that I'm going to be making for you today is that keep your settings the same. Do not change your in-game steering wheel settings. Car setups might slightly tweak. They might add some more front wing onto the car. Well, not they, we. We as drivers might add on some front wing to compensate that front understeer now. Because the rear is still so easy to save, it has that like traction control feeling, like I said. What means that I might be just looking to add some more front downforce into the car to ultimately get that rotation back for free. And although it will cost me a few kilometers an hour straight line speed with the front wing, it's more than worth it to get the rotation back out of the car. So yeah, already thinking of workarounds around the new parameters that we've been given, but that's just what a competitive brain does, to be honest. So yeah, keyboard summary is you can't slide the front axle, you can't get grip out the front axle, you can still play around with it, the car is still massively over gripped, to be honest, it's something that we can still work on. Fundamentally, keep your steering wheel settings the same, because that's really what's going to matter the most, is to keep this consistency within your car feeling, as you don't need to change it right now, to be honest. I don't think it is faster to change it. And yeah, watch out for the rear traction control, the rear stability, the whatever to call it, the RPM drops when you're sliding the rear axle, as ultimately that could be costing you a lot of lap time. But otherwise, yes, how to master it is basically just drive the same as you did before, but with slightly more understeer. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope this video has been informative for you, and let me know what you think about the handling patch as well. Yeah, good step forward, but we need to do a lot more steps forward in this direction to make the game more enjoyable. Back to the Catch out. Bye bye.